As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the bustling stalls of the flea market, our protagonist wandered through an eclectic array of treasures from years gone by. The air was heavy with the scent of aged wood and forgotten memories, but it was the striking figure of an ornate doll that captured their attention. Its porcelain skin gleamed with an otherworldly luster, accentuated by the delicate lace dress that draped elegantly around its small frame. Yet, as they reached out to touch it, a shiver ran down their spine. A fleeting whisper of discomfort fluttered through their mind, warning them away. Ignoring that instinct, however, the allure of the doll's intricate craftsmanship proved too strong. After a brief negotiation with the stall owner, it was tucked under their arm, oblivious to the dark legacy intertwining with its beauty. Back home, the excitement of the find soon morphed into a creeping unease. Initially displayed proudly on a shelf, the doll appeared to watch over the room with a quietly unsettling gaze that seemed to follow the protagonist's every movement. Late that first night, as silence enveloped the house, faint sounds echoed through the corridors, soft thuds and whispers that seemed to echo from the depths of the walls. Drawn by curiosity, they rose to investigate, only to find items they had placed meticulously earlier now rearranged, as if touched by unseen hands. Was it merely the product of an overactive imagination? Or was the doll, with its hollow eyes and enigmatic smile, somehow involved in these peculiar happenings? The question spiraled, hinting at a broader narrative begging to be unveiled. The sense of foreboding escalated when odd incidents began to accumulate. The lights flickered sporadically, and unexplainable drafts surged through closed windows. This painted a vivid picture of an unseen force at play, igniting a determination within the protagonist to unearth the doll's dark origins. With research and whispers from locals, they learned of an enigmatic dollmaker, rumored to have invested their very soul into each creation, a man whose wrath, once provoked, sought vengeance upon anyone daring to own his work. As chilling realizations set in, a thread of ancient lore connected the haunting incidents to the doll cradled in their home. The excitement of discovery twisted into a harrowing obligation to confront the darkness stalking them, setting the stage for a confrontation that promised to unravel the thin veil between the living and the supernatural. As the disturbances surrounding the doll grew more intense, objects toppling over and whispered voices echoing through the night, the protagonist found themselves spiraling into an obsession to uncover its dark past. Late into the night, with only the flickering light of a solitary lamp illuminating the pages of old records, they scoured old newspapers and historical archives. Each article painted a haunting portrait of the Dollmaker, a once revered artisan who had dedicated his life to creating lovingly crafted dolls that captivated collectors' hearts. But as they turned each page, a pattern emerged, revealing a tale of betrayal by those he trusted most. The betrayal was too great. It drove him to madness, igniting a fiery rage that manifested within his creations. The curiosity piqued, leaving the audience teetering on the edge of their seats, eager to see what other secrets lay hidden within his tragic story. During their research, the protagonist reached out to antique experts and collectors, hoping to gain further insights into the enigmatic figure. Each conversation unearthed chilling revelations, stories of inexplicable occurrences tied to the dolls made by this cursed artisan. An expert recounted the bizarre fate of a collector who had proudly displayed one of the maker's finest pieces, only to suffer a series of calamities that culminated in their tragic demise. A sense of urgency gripped the protagonist as they realized that the doll in their possession was not simply a relic of the past. It was a vessel, a conduit through which the dollmaker's vengeful spirit thrived. With each added detail, tension washed over the viewers as the protagonist repeatedly found themselves glancing nervously at the doll, now a sinister presence looming in their home. With each thread of information they gathered, a chilling connection became undeniable. The dollmaker's spirit was indeed trapped within his creations, bound by the very anger that twisted him into a being of vengeance. As the protagonists documented their findings, the room seemed to darken, a sense of foreboding settling in like a heavy fog. They spoke of the Dollmaker's curse, one that promised chaos and despair to anyone who dared to possess his work. As the pieces began to fit together, the stakes escalated, and the protagonist understood that confronting this vengeful spirit was not just a matter of roots in history, but a struggle for their own survival. With the final revelation hanging in the air, viewers were left breathless, gripping their seats as they awaited the next harrowing twist in the tale, a confrontation with an artist scorned, whose wrath would not be easily quelled. Armed with chilling knowledge of the Dollmaker's dark legacy, the protagonist made a desperate decision to rid themselves of the cursed doll, believing that distancing themselves from the artifact would finally bring peace. Their first attempt was to take it back to the flea market, but a sudden storm erupted, raging against their departure. Torrential rain lashed down, and their car suffered a flat tire on the way, leaving them stranded and vulnerable. As if responding to their resolve, the doll seemed to shift ominously in the back seat, a sinister reminder that this wasn't an ordinary object being cast aside. With each moment spent in its haunting presence, a sense of impending doom tightened its grip around them, compelling the viewers to hold their breath in anticipation of what might come next. As days passed, the haunting escalated, morphing into a relentless tempest of chaos. A close friend was nearly injured in a freak accident that saw a tree branch snap and crash onto their car just minutes after the protagonist visited them, instilling paralyzing fear in their heart. Shaken and desperate, they turned to old texts and local legends, seeking methods to cleanse the cursed item once and for all. However, every attempt only seemed to provoke the vengeful spirit further. One night, as they prepared for another ritual, the doll suddenly hurled itself off the shelf, landing on the floor with a resounding crash. The air chilled, and the lights began to flicker violently, as if in retaliation for the protagonist's rebellion. Viewers could feel the mounting tension, a sense that time was running out as the boundaries between reality and the supernatural began to blur irrevocably. In the climax of their struggle, the protagonist understood they couldn't navigate this curse alone. Racing against the tightening claws of despair, they sought guidance from an eccentric local medium rumored to possess insights into the spirit realm. Guided by desperation, they arranged a seance, but the atmosphere destabilized as they gathered in the flickering candlelight, their hearts pounding in unison. The room warped with energy, and the doll moved, this time with a purpose, as it seemed to come alive, mocking their every effort to reclaim control. The stakes reached a fever pitch, with the protagonist fighting to outsmart the wrathful spirit that had unleashed chaos upon their life. Could they unravel the curse, or would they become just another victim of the Dollmaker's relentless vengeance? The question hung heavy in the air, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats, hungry for resolution amidst the unfolding supernatural turmoil. In the final confrontation that would determine their fate, the protagonist summoned every ounce of courage to stand before the doll, now the epicenter of its chaotic power. The air crackled with tension as they prepared a ritual steeped in the lore they had painstakingly gathered. It was time to draw upon the dark history of the Dollmaker himself, aiming to reach the heart of his pain and suffering. With candles flickering and the room thick with anticipation, the protagonist called forth the spirit, focusing on understanding the motivations behind its torment. The shadows danced as memories of betrayal flooded the space, the essence of the Dollmaker swirling angrily in the air. Would the spirit respond to their plea for comprehension, or would it lash out in a final act of retribution? As the minutes dragged on, the atmosphere grew heavier, almost suffocating. The doll began to tremble, moving closer as if drawn by the protagonist's earnestness. Through the haze of anger and sorrow, echoes of the Dollmaker's tragic life emerged. Faded hopes and dreams intertwined with feelings of abandonment and despair. With each spoken word, the protagonist felt the specter of the Dollmaker's rage begin to shift, transforming into a whirlwind of poignant memories that hung in the air. However, the confrontation escalated. The room erupted in chaos as physical manifestations of the curse unleashed their fury, swirling about the protagonist like a tempest, reflecting the inner turmoil of the vengeful spirit. The viewers grasped at their heartstrings, wanting to shield the protagonist from the overwhelming storm of emotions. In a gripping climax, amid the tumult, the protagonist understood that liberation required not merely a cleansing of the spirit, but a deep acknowledgement of the Dollmaker's suffering. They reached out, expressing compassion, sharing in the pain of his betrayal and loss. A profound shift occurred as the chaos slowly receded, revealing the sorrow behind the fury. The final resolution hung delicately in the balance, a way to free the ancient spirit, but at a heart-wrenching cost. As the ritual reached its peak, the protagonist was offered a choice: to absorb the Dollmaker's anguish and bring peace to his restless spirit, or risk unleashing his terror upon the world once more. With tear-filled eyes, they made their choice, and the air shimmered with a bittersweet resolution.